I remember the first time he asked to see me. Not my face, not my smile. He wanted my collarbone, the curve of my shoulder, my skin, not as a body, but as proof that I was still alive. And when I sent it, when I saw the 3 little dots of his reply begin to pulse, I realized something. My husband hadn't looked at me like that in years. Not once. Not even close. And that's how it started. Not with a kiss, not with a lie, but with a message from a Turkish stranger, and a part of me that wanted to feel anything again. My name doesn't matter, not now, not after everything that happened, but I'm a woman, a wife, a mother. I'm 37 years old. I've been married for over 10, and until recently, I thought I was just fading away. I live in a small town. Nothing special. Nothing wrong with it either. We have neighbors who still wave at each other, gossip that flows like wine, and that one bakery everyone pretends they don't visit on Mondays even though we all do. My husband, Mark, works in HVAC, heating, ventilation, fixing broken pipes in other people's homes. He's good at it, solid, predictable, and for most of our marriage, I was invisible to him. He wasn't cruel, he wasn't abusive, he just wasn't there. Not emotionally, not sexually, not even conversationally. We had our son Leo 7 years ago, a bright, sensitive boy with my eyes and Mark's quiet mouth. Leo was, and is, my heartbeat, but even he noticed that Daddy and Mommy didn't laugh anymore. When Leo was little, I chalked it up to exhaustion, parenthood, stress. But time passed, and the emptiness didn't. It grew. Mark stopped noticing things. When I cut my hair, when I bought a new dress, when I cried. Instead, we talked in logistics. Did you pick up milk? Can you get Leo from school today? Where's the remote? I started gaining weight. Slowly at first. 5 pounds, 10, 15. Comfort food became my secret ritual. Late-night ice cream, cookies hidden behind the frozen peas, something to taste when love had stopped. Sex became a memory. We hadn't touched in months, maybe longer. Sometimes at night I'd lie awake beside him wondering, is this it? Is this what marriage becomes? Loneliness you're too tired to fight? And then I got a message. It started with a friend request, a stranger, handsome, dark eyes. His name, Amir. I didn't accept right away. I hovered over the button for a few minutes. His profile photo was him on a boat, smiling, confident, sun behind him, a man who looked like he knew what it meant to be seen. I clicked accept. It felt harmless. He messaged me 2 hours later. Hello, beautiful soul. Not hello, sexy or hey, babe, like the creeps. No. Beautiful soul. I laughed, out loud. It had been so long since anyone called me anything beautiful. And not just my body, my soul. We chatted, nothing deep. Where are you from? What do you do? He lived in Istanbul, imported tiles and ceramics, ran a family business. Divorced, he said. Or almost divorced. Complicated. No sex at home. He didn't dwell on it. He asked about me. I lied, said I was figuring things out, that I was in transition, that my marriage felt more like a cohabitation agreement. He said, you deserve more than that. Every night I'd wait until Leo was asleep, slip into the bathroom with my phone, sit on the cold tile floor like a teenager, and talk to Amir. He made me feel electric, alive, the way he typed, fast, eager, attentive, the way he called me my fire, the way he waited for my replies like I was the center of his world, and slowly, I changed. I started walking every morning, cut sugar, dug out my makeup bag, tried on dresses that had been gathering dust in the back of the closet. Mark didn't say much. He noticed I was thinner, but not why. He smiled once and said, "Looking nice today." I almost cried. But Amir noticed everything. "That color suits your skin. You have the kind of beauty men dream about. I wish I could wake up next to you just once." I sent him a photo of me in the mirror, fully dressed. He wrote, You are art. That night, I bought lingerie. Not because Mark would see it, because I wanted to feel like a woman again, not a roommate. And when Amir asked, softly, never pushing, for something more, something just for him, I sent a photo of my shoulder. He wrote back, "Your skin looks like warm silk." No man had ever said anything like that to me. I started craving his words more than food, more than air. The next night, I sent more. Collarbone, neck, a flash of lace. He never demanded, he adored. I'd lie in bed beside my husband, phone glowing under the blanket, and whisper things to Amir that I never dared say out loud before. I told him about my fantasies, he told me his. We didn't touch, but it felt like we did. His voice messages were low, husky, reverent. He'd say my name like it was a prayer. Sometimes I'd record myself breathing, just breathing, and he'd write back, "That sound is better than music." That's when the dreams started. Me, walking through Turkish markets in a white dress, his hand in mine, the wind in my hair, a ring on my finger I'd never worn before. He said he wanted to bring me to Istanbul, said he'd take care of me, that he'd raise Leo like his own. He sent pictures of his apartment, high-rise marble floors, of flowers he would have sent if he could, of rings, of a guest room waiting for you. And for the first time in years, I felt wanted. Not for chores, not for laundry, not for what I could do, just wanted. Every part of my day started to revolve around him. Waking up in the morning? First thing I did was check if he'd messaged me overnight, and when he did, even just a "good morning, Fireheart," my chest would warm like coffee on an empty stomach. Leo would be eating cereal, and I'd be texting him under the table. Amir would ask how I slept, if I dreamed of him, if I'd thought of his lips before mine closed. I'd smile at my son. I'd pack his lunch, and I'd be aching between my legs. I'm not proud of that, but I was so starved for intimacy, even a whisper from 2,000 kilometers away felt like a hand at my waist. I started buying new clothes, not fancy, just feminine. Loose sweaters with wide necklines, lip gloss, earrings, little things I hadn't worn in years, and I saw the looks, at the store, on the street, from the guy who used to ignore me at the gas station. Suddenly, I had presence again, and that presence scared me, excited me, turned me into someone I didn't recognize and didn't want to lose. Her name was Yulia, my best friend since we were 15. She was the only one I told. We were sitting on her balcony, a late summer evening, glass of wine in hand. Mark had Leo for the night. I stared into the twilight, not speaking, heart buzzing, and she said, "Okay, you're either in love or you've found a new vibrator." I laughed so hard I choked. Then I told her everything. About Amir, about how he made me feel, about the way he listened, the way he spoke, the way he adored. She stared at me, silent, then whispered, "Damn." I waited for the judgment, the scolding, the moral high ground, but she just sipped her wine and said, "I get it." We talked for hours. I showed her a few of his messages, one voice note, the one where he said he'd learn Ukrainian if it meant understanding my soul. She looked at me and said, "He's either a poet or dangerous." I said, "He's mine." Nights became sacred. After Leo went to sleep and Mark watched TV downstairs, I'd lock the bathroom door, sit on the floor in a robe, and FaceTime him. He always smiled first, that smile that made the world feel soft, like velvet, like safety. Sometimes he'd light candles. Sometimes I'd wear perfume, even though he couldn't smell it. He said, "I imagine." And when I imagine, it's real. We never got fully naked at first. He'd ask me to describe what I was wearing. He'd ask if I liked how he looked, hair slightly messy, shirt halfway undone. It wasn't porn. It wasn't even sex. It was craving, performed live, mutual, respectful, insatiable longing. And then slowly, we gave in. I'd tilt the phone, show a little more. He'd ask me to whisper his name. I did. Again and again. I started whispering it in my sleep. Yulia told me I moaned his name once during a nap on her couch. He said he wanted to come to me. "Let me kiss your knees first." then your neck, then everything in between. I told him I couldn't, that I had Leo, a life. He said, "Bring him. I'll raise him as my own." That line? I cried after hearing it. Even my body changed. It responded, tightened, glowed. I had color in my cheeks again, posture, confidence. People asked if I'd done something new. I'd just smile. What would I say? Oh, nothing. Just being spiritually fucked by a Turkish man I've never touched. Yulia said she hadn't seen me this alive in years. She warned me not to lose myself, but I already had. In the best possible way. The first time I felt it was when I caught Mark looking at me in the hallway. Not the usual glance, not the tired, silent, pass me the remote kind of look. This one lingered. It made my skin itch. Like I'd been caught doing something, even though I hadn't moved. He didn't say a word, just stared for a second too long, then walked past me. That night, I barely slept. I lay in bed, Mark beside me, phone face down, and I felt guilt breathing down my neck like a shadow. He started asking small questions. "Who are you texting so late?" I smiled, said it was Yulia, half lie, half truth. He didn't press. But the next night, he came into the bathroom while I was brushing my teeth, looked at my reflection in the mirror, and said, "You've changed." I froze, toothbrush in my mouth, heartbeat in my throat. "What do you mean?" He shrugged. "I don't know, you glow." I laughed, too fast, too loud. He didn't. I started getting sloppier, messages left open, tabs I forgot to close. Amir's voice notes, one of them played automatically while I was folding laundry. Mark was downstairs. I nearly dropped the phone, deleted, locked, panicked. I started putting passwords on everything, turned off notifications, switched apps, and still, that feeling crept in, that he knew something. Then came the night I made the biggest mistake. I left my phone charging on the kitchen counter. I'd been up late talking to Amir, fell asleep on the couch. Mark thought I was just tired. He came in quietly, picked up the phone, and saw a notification I hadn't cleared. Not from Amir. From a folder. The name was Fire. He opened it. Inside, screenshots, photos, voice notes. The way I moaned, the way I said "I love you" to a man who wasn't him. I didn't know what he'd seen until the next morning. I woke up to silence. Not the kind we lived in before. This one was surgical. Cold, sharp-edged. He wasn't in bed. Leo had already been dropped off at school. Coffee was made, but untouched. My phone had a new lock screen. I couldn't get in. I tried again, and again. Then I noticed the note on the table. Just 3 words, in his handwriting. "I know everything." I sat down. My legs refused to hold me. The weight of those words crashed down like stone. I waited. Hours. Mark came home at 5 o'clock like always, walked in, sat on the edge of the couch, and looked at me, not with anger, with exhaustion. "How long?" he asked. "Months," I whispered. "Do you love him?" I wanted to lie, to protect him, to protect myself, but the truth broke free before I could catch it. "Yes." He looked away, and I saw something I'd never seen in him before. Tears. He didn't shout, didn't hit walls, didn't throw my phone across the room or slam a door. He just shut down. And that silence was worse than anything I could have imagined. At first, I thought maybe we could pretend. Maybe if I made dinner, smiled, touched his arm, he'd forgive me quietly, the way he used to forget our anniversaries without guilt. But Mark had changed. He was still, but focused, like something in him had clicked. Not anger, not revenge, strategy. I didn't know it then, but the night he wrote "I know everything," he also changed all my passwords, Messenger, cloud backups, photo folders, and for the next 2 weeks, he watched. He read every message between me and Amir, every sweet nothing, every breathless whisper, every voice note where I called Amir my light. He listened to our late-night moans. He saw the photos, the ones I never dared to send him. He watched the love grow between me and a stranger, while he slept in the same house, a meter away, and he never said a word. Sometimes I'd see him staring at me across the dinner table, not judging, not accusing, just studying, like he was trying to recognize the woman he married inside the body of the woman who betrayed him. He'd ask me simple things. Did you sleep okay? Need anything from the store? Normal. But under the normal, he was bleeding. I could feel it. In his posture, in the way he blinked slower than usual, in the way he paused before every goodbye, as if wondering if it would be the last. I didn't stop talking to Emir. I should have. I know that now. But back then, I was in too deep. He made me feel safe. He made me feel alive. And Mark, even in his pain, felt like the life I wanted to escape. I told Emir about it, about Mark, about the silence, about how I didn't care if he found out. Emir said, "He doesn't see you." "I do. Come to me. I'll make you new. You were born for more than this small life." And I believed him. I'd lie to Mark's face while Emir sent me roses via emojis. I'd kiss my son goodnight and then send voice notes of myself breathing his name. And Mark watched it all unfold. But there was one thing I didn't know. He had reached out to someone, Yulia. He invited her over, said he needed someone to talk to, that he couldn't trust me anymore, that he wanted to know if she knew too. And she didn't lie. But she didn't confess either. She just said, "You both need space. Let things cool down. She's lost Mark, but she's not evil." Later, Yulia told me what happened, that he cried, that he asked her if she thought I ever loved him at all, and that she didn't answer. That night, Mark changed the Wi-Fi password. He deleted apps off my phone. He moved my SIM card into another phone, one he carried. And just like that, I was offline. From Emir, from fantasy, from everything. Without Emir, the silence became unbearable. The world I had built, the world where I was adored, desired, worshipped, was suddenly gone. I felt like I was suffocating, waking up without a good morning Fireheart, eating lunch without him asking what I wore, falling asleep with Mark next to me, breathing warm, but not him, not Emir. I started feeling resentful, at Mark, at Yulia, at myself. I didn't blame them for catching me. I blamed them for breaking the spell. They didn't see what we had. They didn't know the magic he gave me. Mark began trying, really trying. He bought me flowers, wild ones, not store-bought. He held my hand in the car. He kissed my neck when I was making coffee. At night he whispered, "I miss you. I want you. I'm sorry I didn't show it before." But I didn't feel it. Not because he was lying, because I was gone. I wasn't his wife anymore. I was a ghost, still wandering Istanbul in my head, still hearing, "You are my son," in broken English, still feeling Emir's voice vibrating through my chest. Weeks passed. One night I created a new account, fresh profile picture, fake name, different email. I sent Emir a message, "Happy birthday." No answer for 2 days. Then, "Who is this?" I replied with a single photo. My lips, slightly parted, no face. He replied in 5 minutes, "I missed you." And it was like a drug hit my bloodstream. We started again. Slowly. Secretly. This time I was smarter. Private browser, new app, scheduled times when Mark wasn't home. Emir said he still loved me, still dreamed of me, still wanted to steal me away. But something was different. He was less patient, shorter messages, fewer compliments, no more candlelight, no more poems. He asked for photos faster, more skin, less talk. When I hesitated, he'd go silent. "Why are you cold now? You used to want this. Did your husband chain you to the wall?" I tried explaining, tried telling him that Mark never left me alone now, that he was always watching, that Leo needed me more than ever. But Emir didn't care. He started guilt-tripping me. "So you lied about loving me." "You're just like the others. You let me believe in us and now you hide." I cried. I begged him to understand, told him I still loved him, that I'd find a way. And his answer? "Then prove it." I sent one photo. Just lingerie. Nothing explicit. A reminder of who I had been, who I was trying to still be. He didn't respond for hours. Then finally, "That's it? That's all I get?" Something inside me cracked. All the love, all the words, all the dreams, they collapsed like wet paper. We argued. He said I wasted his time, said I was pathetic, a coward, said if I couldn't give him what he wanted, I should go back to my boring husband. And then he blocked me, just like that. No goodbye, no "I'll wait," no "I'm sorry." Gone. I sat in the kitchen, phone shaking in my hand, Leo playing quietly in the next room. And I realized I almost gave everything up for a man who wanted only the parts of me I could unwrap and send through glass. I almost left my child, almost abandoned a marriage, almost burned down my life, for a man who disappeared when I said no. The day after Amir blocked me, I couldn't look my son in the eyes. Leo came into the kitchen in his pajamas, hair messy, smile wide, holding a toy dinosaur. "Mom, guess what? Mr. Fletcher says I'm the best reader in class." And I nodded, smiled, told him I was proud, but inside, I felt like a fraud, like a ghost mother wearing human skin. I had almost left this child, almost disappeared from his world for a man I'd never touched. What kind of woman does that? The first 3 days after the break were like drug withdrawal. No messages, no emojis, no "you are my fire" in the middle of the night. I kept checking my phone anyway. Muscle memory. Even though I knew he was gone, I couldn't eat, didn't sleep. Felt like I was walking underwater with bricks tied to my chest. Yulia stopped texting. I think she was angry, maybe disappointed, or maybe just done cleaning up my emotional blood from the floor. Mark was steady. He brought me tea without a word, sat beside me on the couch, not touching, not asking. Sometimes he looked like he wanted to say something, but he never did. There was something strangely cruel about his kindness, like he was trying not to break what was already shattered. That's when I started rereading the old messages, scrolling, remembering, hurting myself on purpose. Amir had a style, a rhythm. He made every woman feel like she was the only moon in his sky. "Your voice makes my heart sleep happy. No man could look at you and want less. If you were mine, I'd never leave your bed." I believed him. I wasn't the only one. That's what hurt most. Not that he used me, but that he probably used dozens of women the same way. Copy, paste, flirt, praise, pressure, seduce, collect, discard. I wasn't special. I was a repetition. And he knew exactly how long to keep the leash on before letting go. So when I created the fake profile, it wasn't about vengeance. Not at first. It was about proof, about seeing if he'd take the bait again, about confirming what I already feared, that he never loved anyone but himself. But then, watching him fall into it again, so fast, so smooth, awoke something in me, a quiet, focused rage. He didn't skip a beat, didn't hesitate, didn't suspect. "What a perfect mouth you have. I feel like I've known you in another life. I want to kiss your knees first, then your sins." The same lines, recycled romance, as fake as the name I used to lure him in. And I thought, if he's done this to me, he's done it to her, his wife, the quiet woman with soft eyes and a family she thought was real. So I made it my mission. I spent nights assembling the case, voice notes, chats, photos with metadata. I created a Google Drive folder, labeled each file Proof 1 Audio, Proof 4 Screenshots, Timeline Evidence.pdf. I wasn't just going to hurt him. I was going to expose him. Finding her wasn't hard. People like Amir always have loose ends. Cousins tagged in wedding pictures. Friends who forget to lock their profiles. She was there. Sina. 2 kids. A garden. A business she ran from home. Innocence wrapped in daily chores and floral blouses. I created a new burner email. No introduction, no threats, just a single line. "You deserve the truth." And a link. I sent it at 3:06 a.m., then sat in the dark, clutching a blanket like armor, waiting for something. The next morning, her profile was gone. Vanished. No goodbye, no answer, but I checked the link. Opened it from another account. Viewed. Downloaded. And that was enough. That night, Amir came back. To the fake profile, not to beg, to rage. Who are you? Why would you do this? You ruined everything. I read his messages slowly, tasting each one like fine wine. I typed, I only ruined what was fake, the rest was never yours, and blocked him. For good. Then, for the first time in months, I slept without dreaming of Istanbul, without feeling shame, without needing anyone to tell me I was beautiful. The morning after I blocked Amir for good, the world felt still. Not peaceful, not triumphant, just quiet. There was no rush of victory, no fireworks of justice, just the sound of birds outside my window and the low hum of the refrigerator. I got out of bed slowly, walked into the kitchen. Leo was already up, watching cartoons with a blanket wrapped around him like a cape. He looked at me and said, "You look tired, Mommy." I smiled. "I am, baby. But it's a good kind of tired." He didn't ask more. Kids are like that. They feel storms even when you try to keep the windows shut. Mark was in the garden, kneeling by the roses, trimming back overgrowth. He didn't look up when I stepped outside. I watched him for a minute, wondered what he was thinking, what he knew, what he didn't know. He looked older than I remembered. He always had lines in his forehead, but now they were deeper. Permanent. I walked up behind him slowly. "Want some coffee?" I asked. He nodded. Still didn't look up. We sat on the porch in silence. 2 mugs, 2 hands that had touched, held, betrayed, a decade of shared furniture and routines between us, and a canyon of things unsaid. "It's over," I said finally. "He's gone. I made sure of it." He didn't respond right away. Then, softly, "Why did you do it?" I took a breath. Not the kind of breath you take before answering, the kind you take before surgery. Because I was invisible, because I thought I didn't matter, because he looked at me like I was more than a function. He nodded. "I know." I looked at him. "You know?" "I've known for years," he said, "that I stopped showing up, that you were slipping away. I just didn't know what to do with it." There were no tears, no dramatic hugs, no promises of healing, just truth. And for the first time in a long time, truth felt better than fantasy. Over the next weeks, I started cooking again, not out of guilt, but because I wanted to smell garlic on my fingers, feel the warmth of a stove, watch Leo smile when I gave him his favorite noodles. I walked more, not to lose weight, just to feel the ground under me, to move forward, step by step. Yulia came back. We didn't talk about what happened. She just brought over a bottle of wine and said, "You still in there?" I nodded. Barely. But yeah. We didn't toast. We just sat. 2 women who had been through their own storms. No judgment. Just tired hearts and quiet compassion. One afternoon, Leo drew a picture at school. A house, a son, a stick figure family. The teacher sent it home with a note. "Leo says this is you, Daddy, and him at the beach." But there was something else. In the corner, a small red heart, not labeled, not explained, just there. I stared at it for a long time, and I realized, no matter what I'd done, what I'd almost become, my son still saw love. Mark and I didn't have a magical reconnection. There were no date nights, no passionate reunions, no cheesy therapy sessions, but something between us softened. He'd brush his fingers against mine when handing me the salt. I'd sit beside him on the couch without checking my phone. We were still broken, but we were still there. And sometimes, that's enough. I thought I was done with him. I thought I'd written the last line, closed the chapter, burned the book. But predators don't like being seen. They especially don't like being exposed. And Amir, he wasn't finished. It started with a message from Yulia. "He found me." I was standing in line at the grocery store, Leo tugging at my sleeve, when my phone lit up with her text. 3 words, simple, terrifying. I stepped out of line, called her. She answered on the second ring. Her voice was low, tight, the way people sound when they're holding glass in their throat. He messaged me on Instagram, from some weird account, no followers, no photo, but I knew it was him. My stomach dropped. What did he say? He asked if you still talk about him, then said I should tell you to be careful, that some secrets shouldn't be shared. That night, I didn't sleep, not because I was afraid of him, but because I realized he had always been that person, charming in daylight, controlling in shadows. The next morning, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject, no message, just an attachment. I didn't open it. I forwarded it to a tech friend who worked in cybersecurity. He checked it. He wanted to get into your phone, he said, into your camera, microphone, files. I felt sick. He hadn't loved me. He hadn't even needed me. He'd collected me, used me. And now that I'd stepped out of the cage, he wanted to punish me for ruining his game. I warned Yulia, blocked all unknown numbers, reset every password, deleted every photo I ever had of him. But a part of me still felt watched, still braced for the next knock, the next message, the next trap. Then a week later, he was gone again. Not a sound, no more emails, no more Yulia updates. It was like he'd finally realized he couldn't break me anymore. And that's when I cried, not from fear, from freedom. Sometimes I stand in the shower and replay his voice in my head, not because I miss him, not because I want him back, but because it reminds me how easy it is to confuse being seen with being loved. I still wear the red dress sometimes, the one I bought for Amir, not for seduction now, but because I look damn good in it. I don't owe that dress to him, or those heels, or that confidence. It was always mine. He just temporarily borrowed the key to it. Mark and I, we're not perfect. We don't talk about forgiveness much. We talk about groceries, about Leo's school, about taking the trash out. But sometimes, he reaches for my hand when we cross the street, and I let him. Not because I forgot everything, but because I remember what nothing felt like. Leo's drawings still have hearts in the corners. Sometimes he draws 4 people instead of 3. I asked him once who the 4th was. He said, just someone who left, but I made sure he's small. That night, I didn't cry. I just kissed his forehead, tucked him in, and promised myself that I'd never let someone like that grow big again. I no longer believe in soulmates, but I believe in silence that's peaceful, not punishing, in truth, even when it hurts, in the quiet strength of women who crawl out of hell not with vengeance, but with their spines straighter than before. If you're listening to this, and if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever begged for scraps of attention because love became a memory, just know, you don't need a Turkish prince to remind you you're alive. You need a mirror, and time, and the kind of silence that lets you finally hear your own name again. The end.